Hello everyone, welcome to Niagara College, and we have representative of the college with us, Gabriela.
I'm Gabriela Facchini. Thank you so much for for coming actually to visit us today. And I'm in charge of students from Ukraine, and it is my pleasure to be here with Marcus, which is our official representative for Niagara College.
Thank you. And today we're going to answer all your questions you asked us previously about studying in Niagara College, scholarship and programs available for you guys. So, Gabriela, I would start with question. In our Ukrainian culture, it's very common. We try to send students, our kids, to like at least bachelor degree. But here in Canada, we have a different point of view on this.
Yes.
Can you please explain what's going on?
Absolutely. The Canadian education system is different than the education system in the Ukraine. So up until 1966 in Canada, we only had universities just like in Ukraine, and you went to university to study all of your careers. But in Canada, when technology starts to take over the needs and the skills of the labor market, the Canadian government looks around the world and decides it needs a new education system. And they actually choose the German education system to mirror here in Canada. And they separate all of the labor-related careers into colleges and polytechnics. And that's what we are. We're a community college. So in Canada today, you go to university if you're going to study a general program or a program that has no specialization. It's not necessarily directed to the labor market. So if you're going to study what I called any of the ologies, sociology, anthropology, psychology, biology, anything that ends with ology, you go to university. It's a general education, or pure science like mathematics or physics or chemistry that you study at a university level. But that doesn't necessarily take you to the labor market. It doesn't have a job definition or job description. In Canada, if you want to go to the labor market, you don't go to university. You go to a college or a polytechnic where you can do a 2-year diploma, a 3-year advanced diploma, or even a 4-year degree. You can do a degree in a college or polytechnic. But it's a specialization. So, for example, if you want to be in broadcasting, television, and film, that particular career doesn't exist in a university. You could study the history of film, but not broadcasting, not direction, for example, because that is tied to the labor market.
Technical skills
Exactly. So, college and polytechnics have a very hands-on experiential type learning where the focus is to prepare students with the skills they need in the labor market, and we emulate the same conditions as a labor market or enterprises to ensure that students have a realistic experience, and when they go into an actual job, they know what they're doing. Versus when they graduate from university, they tend to have a very theoretical knowledge of things, not a practical knowledge of things. So in Canada, most people that are trying to prepare for a career, they go to a polytechnic or to a community college, and if they want to teach, for example, they want to work in research, or for certain careers at a very high level like medicine or physics or something very high level, or for research, they go to university. But in terms of like 80% of the jobs that exist in Canada, they don't require a degree. So it's very different from Ukraine. If you're going to stay in Canada, so for all the students who are here in the process of getting PR or in the process of applying for PR, going to live in Canada, getting a university degree is not really necessary. However, if you want to get one, you can still start in college. This makes more sense because you can get the skills you need to get a job. And then later on, you can use that college experience to get advanced standing for a degree in a university, because all of the public colleges and universities work together. In the province of Ontario, there's something called on transfer that allows you to see, like, if you finish this at Niagara College, how many more years do I need to finish a degree, for example? But I can tell you right now that if you stay in Canada, these students are not going to end up finishing a degree because they don't need it. You know, once you start to work, you make really good money because, in fact, employability out of college and polytechnics is higher than universities. So once you are, you know, in the labor force, you have the right skills, you're working, you're making money, you know, a lot of people don't choose to go back to university, but you can. I mean, that, you know, it makes more sense to start with a college short-term degree. Also, another thing to consider, super important, is that young people are not going to be like me. I'm older and I had the same career all my life. But in the future, because of AI and how fast things are changing, young people are going to have to reinvent themselves maybe 5 to 7 times. This is what experts say. So for you to spend 4 years or 5 years doing a degree that might not, that might not exist in 5 years doesn't make sense. Come, get the skills you need right now, studying 2 years in college or 3 years in college, start you know, working, and then if you need to go back to school,
explore even yourself.
Exactly.
With the skills.
But even if you have to go back to school because things are changing, you haven't invested that much time. You can in money. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And I'm also glad you mentioned about the when students in Canada, let's say it's Ukrainian, who came to Canada like a few years ago, finishing high school right now, and families maybe applied already for PR and they waiting. They still consider it as an international student in sort of fees.
Yes.
But I know that your college has some offer for Ukrainian students who are in this situation. And I, as immigration consultant, guys, can tell you, if you already applied for PR and you include your children in PR as accompanying dependents, so right now the waiting time or processing time to get an APR, it's like 2 or even some programs 3 years. So if your child finishing high school this year or next year, so you will have two choices. So either wait and give them gap years, like 2 or 3 years to wait to get to the college, because fees for international students is not affordable for your family. Or right now you just pay attention to what Gabriela will say, because the college offering like amazing opportunity, which leads for almost domestic student fee for you guys. So Gabriela,
yeah, exactly. So for any Ukrainian students that are here on quiet status, we're offering a $7,000 scholarship, and that per year. So that brings down the cost of international tuition almost to domestic level. So normally domestic students, it depends on the program because they don't all have the same fee, but domestic students pay anywhere from $7,000 to $11,000, $12,000 a year. So one of the things that families should understand is that in Canada, higher education is not free. So even when you have PR, you still have to pay. So it's just that international students pay more because the colleges, we receive funds from the government if they have PR or if they're born in Canada. But for international students, we don't. So an international student has to cover all of the fee because we don't get any money from the government. But right now, with the $7,000 quiet scholarship, it comes close to domestic fees, and it allows students not to have to wait and have this hiatus of not advancing their career and getting on with their professional lives. And I think this is important because there's so many opportunities in Canada. You don't want to put that on hold.
Of course. And my question is this scholarship only for students who finish in high school, or this scholarship can be considered on a postgraduate level programs too?
Any student that has quiet status has access to the scholarship. It's not tied to the level of academics that they have. Of course, Depending on what they apply to. If they apply for an undergraduate, they need high school. If they apply for postgraduate, they need a university for admission purposes.
Yes.
But as long as they have co-ed status, they have access to the scholarship. If they don't have co-ed status, we still have scholarships, but they're not as big. So, for example, Ukrainian students still have access to 2,000 entrance scholarship, as well as an additional 1,000 if they score high on the IELTS, for example. And if they're good students, they can get an additional 1,000 for the second term if they have an 80% average or more. And there's also partial scholarships available based on academic success that they can apply to. So there's lots of options for scholarships at Niagara College for all students, all international students. But Ukrainian students with co-ed status have a special scholarship that's a little bit bigger than the other opportunities that are available. But every student can have a scholarship.
Thank you. It's amazing. I know you have another amazing opportunity to offer. Let's call it a spousal program.
Exactly.
So it's very interesting. Let me put give you a little hint. So it's, for example, if it's family already of two, or maybe you have kids, and you both want to come to Canada, or you are in Canada and you need career upgrade and you want to study both. So one student is going to be, let's put it on a primary student, and another it's accompanying spouse. And for this option, Gabriela will tell more about the financial opportunities for you guys.
Sure, absolutely. So we call it the spousal program. So they have to be married. So you have a married couple, and it could, husband and wife or wife and wife. I mean, that's all good. As long as they're married. And one of them does a program in the STEMs or healthcare that has what we call postgraduate work permit eligibility.
Okay.
Yes.
This is important.
Yeah, and that student pays normal price less the scholarships, 2,000 entrance scholarship and any other partial scholarship that they qualify to. And then their spouse, they choose a program that's
from a different list.
Exactly.
So we have two lists of the program.
Exactly.
In Niagara College and each college in Canada and Ontario. So we have PGVP eligible, which leads you to student pathway immigration, and another list of the program. It's PGVP non-eligible. So we're talking about the one student is studying, the primary applicant is studying on a PGVP eligible to get the opportunity to lead the family for the PR application, and the accompanying spouse studying on non-eligible PGVP because it's they don't need two
Exactly. So what happens is they start together, they graduate together. When the PGWP eligible student graduates, they get a 3-year postgraduate work permit, and their spouse gets a dependent open work permit. So they can both get 3 years additional to stay in Canada, and that allows them enough time to consult with you to make sure that they can get their PR application
but we didn't say what's the money benefit.
Well, the money benefit is amazing because PGWP student gets the partial scholarships, but the spouse that does non-PGWP, they get a scholarship of $14,000 Canadian per year.
Full tuition fee.
It's all tuition. Yeah, the student just pays ancillary fees. So in every fee that you see for an international student, the bulk of it is tuition, and then there's other fees like the use of this library. Exactly. So that's all they pay. They pay ancillary fees. They don't pay tuition fees.
Let's say it's like grand total per year, let's say 18,000. So 18,000 minus 14,000.
They'll pay $4,000. So basically, the second student,
$4,000 per year, guys.
Yeah, it's less than domestic fees. I mean, they pay less than Canadian students. Don't tell any Canadian students.
So I think this is very amazing.
Yeah, it's a really great program. It's not available at most colleges. Niagara College has the spousal program. This is a great opportunity for Ukrainian families that want to come. And also, if you've got children, it allows children that are school age to attend schools, public schools here for free. So whole families can come from abroad in this program called the spousal program. And it offers so many benefits, right? And it's very affordable.
Other benefits. So I would like you to mention, we are right now in Niagara College, and what other benefit except academics the family can get by living here, studying here? Tell us about the region.
The region is privileged, really. I mean, apart from being beautiful, we are very close to Niagara Falls. If you haven't heard of Niagara Falls, it's one of the 13 wonders of the world. We get about 13 million visitors per year just in this area. So if you think about that, that's incredible. I don't know how many tourists visit a country, but for example, I was just in Colombia. I asked how many tourists they have per year, and they told me 8 million per year in the whole country. Where here we have 13 million per year just in Niagara. There's 2,800 tourist attractions here because of the falls. We're about 15 minutes away from the border with the United States. So it's very green, very natural, the environment. We're surrounded by the Niagara Escarpment, which forms a shield around where we are. So it's actually about 3 degrees warmer than Toronto. And it allows the area to grow product, so agricultural growing for a longer period of time. So there's over 100 wineries. We're known as a winery region. There's so much to do, but more importantly, the Niagara region has about 600,000 people, but we have to service 13 million tourists. And what that means for students is there's tons of part-time work because we are not enough to be able to do all of these jobs in the tourism industry. So lots of part-time work for students. And also, we're an hour and a half from Toronto, and the corridor from Toronto to the border is where you'll find the majority of our multinational headquarters here in Canada. So in terms of work, it's probably one of the areas that offers students the most work, both part-time work and full-time work once you graduate. In terms of opportunities, it is warmer than other parts of Canada. It's also cheaper. In terms of rent, so if you compare it to Toronto, it's about 30% less to pay rent here than in Toronto. And if you compare it to Vancouver, which is the most expensive city in Canada, it's maybe 40% less. So you can save money. You can live in a beautiful environment that's sought, by 13 million tourists every year. You can study in a public recognized college that the certification is recognized around the world. You can get skills, hands-on training that will open up the opportunities for really good jobs once you graduate and higher wages. You're not studying something theoretical out of a book, that then, you end up with a degree in something that has no applicability. That's not the case. You're going to study something that is in demand. We work together with enterprise. We consult with companies to see what they need in terms of skills in our graduates, and that's what we offer in terms of programs. So you're going to have the skills that the employers are looking for, and so we're going to have lots of opportunities for work. So the Niagara region is amazing. It's only an hour and a half from Toronto. So if you want to go to Toronto, which is Canada's largest city, you're very close. So you can go to a concert in the morning, come back at night. You don't have to live there. So it's quieter, it's more green, it's more beautiful. And there's actually more to do here than there because of the tourist attractions, hundreds of hotels and golf courses, casinos even. There's so much to do.
Okay, thank you so much, Gabriela. Guys, so if you are interested or have a question about any program we discussed today with Gabriela, so you can find our email address on the comment below the video. So send us an email, we will reply